With supermodel Gyuvin by her side, 90-Day Fiancé star Shekinah Garner has a new appearance. The popular reality program, 90-Day Fiancé, the other way, actress Shekinah Garner has had facial cosmetic surgery once more. Serper Gyuvin, her lover, was by her side during the procedure, sitting in the hospital's patient room and keeping an anxious eye on her beloved. "I want my wife to always be beautiful," the surgeon remarked. "I made the decision to have this operation, not Shekinah. I want her self-confidence to grow. Shekinah Garner will not be able to have any more surgeries in the future," the doctor warned the surgeon. "Any new operations will no longer be tolerated by her facial skin." Fans' reactions to the announcement have been divided. Some have praised Shekinah's new appearance, while others have voiced worries about her health. "I don't want the beauty of her face to be fleeting. I want her to love herself, no matter what," Serper Gyuvin concluded. It was a cold morning in Istanbul, and the white hospital hallways had a subtle scent of roses and disinfectant. Serper Gyuvin had brought a little bouquet of roses with him, which was now sitting on the waiting bench next to him. His chest was crushed against the surgical ward silence. His flamboyant and glitzy partner from 90-Day Fiancé, the other way, Shekinah Garner, was once again undergoing surgery behind the double doors. She had done this before. Serper knew in her heart that if the doctor hadn't given them such strong warning, it might not have been her last. He thought back to the discussion from the previous day. Dr. Elmas had taken off his spectacles and stated, "Shekinah's skin cannot withstand another surgery. It could be dangerous if we keep stretching it, carving it, and chasing perfection." Although Serper had nodded, his thoughts were already elsewhere. Not only was beauty on his mind, but love as well. In Shekinah, he discovered someone who shared his fixation with control, which had been the foundation of his entire existence. However, what began as a mutual quest for excellence has devolved into a covert conflict between image and love. Hours went by. At last, the door opened. A nurse showed up with a gentle grin. "She's conscious." As Serper walked into the recovery room, his heart was pounding. Shekinah Garner, the lady who had enthralled millions of TLC viewers with her frankness and unbridled confidence, was there. She had her eyes half open and her face wrapped. Her voice shook like silk in the wind as she muttered, "Hey." He took her hand and sat next to her. He remarked, "You did amazing," but he felt a sense of hollowness. Her lips curled into a slight smile as she gazed at him. "Was it worthwhile?" He paused. "You're flawless. You were always." The only sound in the room for a while was the buzz of the monitors. Tears filled Shekinah's eyes. "Serper, when did I cease to be sufficient?" The query pierced him more deeply than any scalpel. He knew the truth, but he wanted to say never. They had both begun pursuing an illusion, one that was costing them more than each had anticipated, somewhere between the love they displayed on screen and the demands of the outside world. That evening, Shekinah stood in front of the mirror in their flat with a view of the Bosphorus. After the bandages were removed, the skin became smoother, the cheekbones were higher, and the chin was sculpted. She looked beautiful, objectively speaking, but there was a gap in her eyes. Serper approached from behind and encircled her waist with his arms. He whispered, "The doctor said this must be the last one." Slowly, she nodded. "Perhaps I should start repairing my heart instead of my face." She shut off her vanity's ring light and sat peacefully for the first time in years. As Serper embraced her, the city's brilliance mirrored in her eyes. The report, Shekinah Garner unveils new look after cosmetic surgery, doctor issues final warning, went viral on the internet a few days later. Social media was flooded with comments from fans. "She looks fantastic. Please look after yourself, Shekinah. She is already gorgeous and doesn't require surgery." Shekinah read them all at first, feeling a mixture of pride and embarrassment. However, she came onto an old photo of herself one evening while browsing through her phone, before any surgery, laughing freely and naturally in the Arizona sunshine. She appeared genuine, even though she wasn't perfect at the time. Her cheeks were wet with tears. When Serper found her, she was crying, silent, and holding a phone. In front of her, he knelt. "My dear, what is the matter?" She gave the phone to him. "Before all of this," I said. He took a long look at the photograph. He said, "She's still in there. I haven't lost the woman I fell in love with." Shekinah gave a small smile, then assisted me in locating her once more. Their lives started to alter after that day. Shekinah gave up striving for excellence. She stopped doing makeup brand endorsements, established a podcast about inner healing and self-acceptance, and for the first time in her life, she went to therapy. Serper, who had a reputation for being rigid and fixated on his appearance, began to relax. He began going on long walks with her, talking about genuine topics like fear, love, and purpose without the use of cameras or filters. They made an appearance together at a charity function in Istanbul a few months later. Cameras flashed as reporters crowded in. Shekinah donned a plain white outfit and very little makeup. Serper happily stood next to her as her partner, not as her manager or curator of her image. When a reporter inquired, "Shekinah, are you permanently done with cosmetic surgery?" She looked up at Serper and grinned. "Yes," she said softly, "because I've come to the realization that beauty isn't something that can be altered. It is what you come to appreciate." After a brief period of silence, the audience burst into cheers. Shekinah Garner felt beautiful for the first time, not because of her appearance, but because of who she had become. But as the program begins, the camera moves across Istanbul's magnificent skyline. A slow instrumental rendition of Happy Birthday plays in the background as boats pass beneath the Bosphorus Bridge, which shines softly in the night. Shekinah has been giving Serper clues for days, and this week is her birthday. She has dreamed of a romantic, contemplative celebration that serves as a reminder that their love is still significant in spite of all of their differences. But Serper has his own intentions, as Serper always does. He is shown in a confessional in the scene. He grins at the camera while wearing a white shirt that fits him perfectly. "Shekinah is stunning, you know. My queen is her. Sometimes, though, she has unrealistic expectations. I can convey my love without putting on a big display." He smiles brightly and says, "My love is me." Cut to Shekinah and her best buddy, who is video calling from Los Angeles, seated in a cafe. She is letting her emotions out. He doesn't seem to get birthdays, in my opinion. Effort is more important than money. Even though I've been organizing his presents for weeks, I never get around to it. "It's Serper, girl," her pal says with a quiet laugh. The man claims to have a spreadsheet showing the number of women he has dated. You can't expect a lover who is as good as Pinterest. Shekinah lets out a sigh. However, I believed he had changed. I must feel unique, particularly this year. Shekinah's birthday morning. She awakens to sunlight streaming through the blinds at Serper's clean, contemporary apartment. There are no balloons, breakfast tray, decorations, or even a card visible when the camera pans in on her face. Serper was the only one snoozing lightly beside her. Her phone displays scores of happy birthday texts from friends and relatives back home as she stealthily gets up. Serper said nothing. Not even an SMS message. She whispers to the camera team as she enters the restroom, "I don't want to overreact, but this feels hollow." He claimed to have plans, yet it is already 10 in the morning. What programs begin at noon? Serper finally wakes up around the afternoon. He stretches, yawns, and kisses her on the cheek. With a casual tone, he says, "Happy birthday, my love." Shekinah's expression briefly brightens. "Thank you. Tell me about today's plans." Serper grins enigmatically. "Just unwind. Limit the number of inquiries you ask. You'll see." Let's hear the dramatic music from TLC. Shekinah is waiting hours later in her favorite white outfit. The vehicle arrives to a glitzy rooftop bar with a view of the Bosphorus. Lights flash. She exclaims, "It's stunning." Perhaps, after all, he had planned something considerate. She observes the arrangement as they enter. A large table adorned with rose petals, champagne glasses, and roughly 20 individuals. However, none of them are her pals. They are Serper's cousin, a part-time DJ, a couple local models, and his gym pals. Shekinah stops smiling. "Who are all of these folks, I wonder?" She murmurs, "My pals. You have a birthday, sweetie." He raises his glass proudly and adds, I wanted you to meet my world. Although Shekinah tries to smile, her confessional is honest. I desired a romantic meal. I received a reunion of fitness influencers. Shekinah makes an effort to have fun as the evening wears on. Serper, however, is acting like a showman with his dancing, selfies, and boasting to his buddies that Shekinah used to be a model, too. A cake then emerges as the music fades. The audience applauds. Shekinah is the incorrect spelling of Shekinah's name. Serper dismisses it. It's all right. There is only one letter. However, Shekinah's face speaks for itself. Quietly, she picks at her cake. One of Serper's ex-girlfriends, yes, ex-girlfriends, a girl from the party approaches to greet him. Whoa, Shekinah, you look so lovely in person. Prior to your arrival in Turkey, Serper used to speak of you. Shekinah becomes motionless. Prior to my arrival here? Serper tries to defuse the situation by hurrying over, but it's too late. There is a lot of stress. As Shekinah's eyes well up with tears, the cameras pan in. Shekinah eventually speaks up outside on the patio while the Istanbul skyline sparkles behind them. Serper, you don't understand. This had nothing to do with the cake, the celebration, or the cake's name. It has to do with how you make yourself the center of attention. I sacrificed everything and relocated here. However, I still can't have a day where I feel appreciated. Serper frowns, truly perplexed. But for you, I prepared this enormous celebration. Your birthday was celebrated by all. Her arms are crossed. No, they were there to celebrate your party hosting. You didn't even consider my desires. He averts his gaze and is silent for a while, interrupted by the sound of distant traffic. At last, he acknowledges, perhaps I don't always express love the way you desire. But I wanted to share my world with you, so I did this. Perhaps I didn't succeed, but it was love. Her tone becomes softer. Then share it with me, not at me, maybe next year. Shekinah records a confessional by herself the following morning. She has loose hair and minimal makeup. I still adore him. But when someone doesn't listen, I'm coming to the realization that love is insufficient. We speak different languages, not just literally, but emotionally as well, as I realized last night. We might not be able to translate that indefinitely. The scene switches to Serper's confession. I felt I performed well. Perhaps I made a mistake. However, I'm learning. Relationships are similar to the gym in that you grow, fix, and fail. The following day, they're seen strolling hand in hand down a peaceful street in Istanbul as the program comes to a close. There was only the sound of their footsteps and silence, no music or celebration. The narrator teases as the screen turns black. On 90 Day Fiancé, the other way, Shekinah makes a startling choice that has the potential to alter everything next week. Will she take a one-way flight home or remain in Turkey? But it was the beginning of the bright, golden summer in Istanbul, when mystery and passion were in the air. After 6 months in Turkey, Shekinah's relationship with Serper had become accustomed to each other, but there was a change in him. She initially had trouble identifying it. She was still referred to as my queen every morning before he departed for his fitness clients, and he remained charming and rigorous in his workouts. However, he had been away more and more lately, answering calls in Turkish, which he cut off as soon as Shekinah walked in. Serper's phone buzzed on the nightstand while Shekinah was getting ready for bed one evening. She usually respected his privacy, but she became curious and became increasingly uneasy. Her pulse raced when she saw her name flashing on the screen. Layla Dizzy.
She stopped.
Layla was who? Over breakfast the following morning, she jokingly said, Serper, who's Layla? Serper's spoon came to a halt. His eyes briefly fluttered, but his face remained still. Just a client, he answered hastily before grinning too broadly. She needs assistance with fitness training because she is new.
Why?
Shekinah felt the deception even as she nodded. She was aware of that expression, the tiny tightening of his jaw, the way he averted his eyes. There was a problem. She became more perceptive throughout the course of the following few days. Shekinah's intuition was sparked by Serper's habit of leaving early and returning late, claiming that his sessions were running long. On one occasion, when she offered to join him for lunch near his gym, he promptly responded, "No, it's a men's day. No girlfriends allowed." She chose to go with him. Wearing sunglasses and a scarf to blend in, Shekinah rode in a taxi to the opposite side of the city on a sweltering Thursday afternoon. Near a cafe, she saw Serper with a woman rather than a workout customer. She is tall, graceful, has long dark hair, and her body language conveys a sense of familiarity. Instead of sitting like a client and trainer, they were leaning in close, laughing and whispering. Shekinah felt a sinking heart. She snapped a picture out of bravery rather than proof. She waited for Serper to take a shower and settle in when he got home that evening. Then she showed the picture to him. "Serper, who is she?" Her voice was quivering but forceful as she commanded. He sighed deeply and rubbed his forehead after appearing surprised. "Shekinah, you're not getting it. It isn't what you believe." "Then tell me," she retorted. After a long silence, he finally uttered the words that made all the difference. "My former fiancée is Layla. Additionally, she has been assisting me with something I was unsure how to explain." Shekinah felt a knot in her stomach. "What am I helping you with?" He paused. "I have a son," Shekinah said. Like a wave, the word struck her. Serper went on in a quiet voice. "I was engaged to Layla years ago before I met you. Despite everything falling apart, she became pregnant. It wasn't until the boy was 5 that she told me. Slowly, I've been attempting to get back in touch with him. He is now 8 years old." Shekinah sat silently, her eyes burning with tears. "What kept you from telling me?" "I was afraid," he said. "I'm afraid you'd think I've been hiding my entire life. I was afraid you might go. You previously stated that you wanted to move on from my past and create something fresh." Shekinah averted her gaze and gazed at the illuminated Istanbul skyline outside the window. "You didn't have enough faith in me to be honest with me." He extended his hand to grasp hers. "I wanted to give you an explanation before I lost you. First, I wanted to be sure my son would welcome me. I wanted to do it properly." They were silent for a long time. Outside, the only sounds were the hum of the city and the ticking of the clock. At last, Shekinah muttered, "Serper, you broke my heart. You believed I couldn't love you despite having a son, not because of it." Remorse softened Serper's gaze. "Will you pardon me?" Slowly, she got to her feet. "I require time. You've kept too much secret for too long." Shekinah spent the next few days in a motel, taking it all in. As she talked of love, honesty, and trust while her hair blew in the wind, the cameras followed her as she crossed the Bosphorus. Her voice cracked as she remarked, "I came here for love, but love without truth is just a performance." Even Shekinah observed from a distance as Serper made his first visit to his son in the season finale. It was a peaceful, loving moment. With a question that would plague fans for months, the screen went black. Will Shekinah choose to leave Serper permanently or forgive him? But Serper and Shekinah, the pair that everyone either adored or liked to fight over, were meant to have another lovely morning in Istanbul. Their flat was in a high-rise building with a view of the Bosphorus, and the sun shone through the curtains. However, there was a deep, almost electric silence in the flat that morning. Shekinah was standing near the window, gazing at the ocean with her arms folded. Pretending not to notice the tension that was thick enough to choke on, Serper sat on the couch behind her, browsing through his phone. "Will you really disregard me throughout the morning?" Shekinah turned to face him and finally snapped. Her voice was harsh and piercing. Serper let out a sigh and put his phone down. "Shekinah, I'm not ignoring you. I really don't want to go into another argument. It's too early." "Is it too early?" She said it again, raising her voice. "Serper, you texted your ex at midnight. You don't think it's worth discussing?" He gave his temples a rub. "That wasn't the case. She inquired about joining a gym. That's all." Shekinah, however, didn't believe it. "At midnight? Do you consider me foolish? You keep giving me reasons to be jealous even though you keep saying that I'm the one who is jealous." Serper got to his feet, clearly losing patience. "Shekinah, you're always twisting things. The true issue here is that you don't trust me. You've been in my city for months, and you're seeking drama instead of creating something." Trying not to cry, Shekinah inhaled deeply. Drama? I'm requesting respect, right? Serper, I traveled all across the world for you. I abandoned my life, my business, and my kid. I feel very alienated in your flat now. Serper's face briefly softened, but he was unable to apologize because of his pride. Maybe you shouldn't have come if you weren't ready for what life with me really means, he replied icily instead. She felt as though someone had punched her in the chest. Her eyes filled with tears as she gazed at him.
Whoa.
That's what you actually just said. He turned his head away. That's not how I meant it. However, it was too late. Like smoke, the words hung in the air. Every agonizing moment was captured on camera. Serper standing stiff, arms crossed, teeth clenched, Shekinah pacing, hair falling out of her bun, tears streaming down her cheeks. Later, Shekinah conversed with the producers while sitting by herself on the balcony. Her voice was shaking as she said, I thought love meant compromise. However, compromise feels like capitulation to Serper. Everything must be done his way, including my attire, my conversation partners, and even my bedtime. I no longer even recognize myself. Serper, meanwhile, defended himself in his confessional. When Shekinah first met me, she recognized me. I have boundaries and I'm disciplined. Chaos is not what I want. Shekinah, however, causes turmoil because she struggles to be heard. There are moments when I believe she wants me to lose control to show how much she cares. They slept in different beds that night. Shekinah slept on the couch with a pillow and spent hours gazing up at the ceiling. She repeated what he had said each time she closed her eyes. You might have been better off not coming. Without saying farewell, Serper went early the following morning for the gym. The sound of the door closing roused Shekinah. His neat handwriting read, I need space to think, on a small note on the kitchen counter. Shekinah made the decision that she could no longer remain silent by the afternoon. After months of warnings, she went to see her friend Talia, an American expat. Shekinah sobbed while drinking Turkish tea. She admitted, I believed Serper would be the man I would spend my later years with. However, he might be the lesson I needed to learn. Talia gave her hand a squeeze. Girl, you've lost yourself. You were bright when you arrived, but now you're lowering your own brightness to blend in with his shadow. That isn't love. Shekinah walked back to the apartment that evening, and the camera crew followed her. Despite her racing heart, she knew what she had to do. When she entered, Serper was seated on the couch. She seemed peaceful, which shocked him when he looked up. We must have a conversation, she replied quietly. She held out her hand, but he nodded. No disruptions. Simply pay attention. She inhaled deeply. Serper, you have my affection. I always will. But without respect, love cannot endure. Everything is under your control, including my friendships, my clothes, my schedule, and my workout regimens. Here, I am unable to breathe. I didn't come to Turkey to lose myself. I came to make a life with you. I'm going to be gone for a little. Serper's gaze expanded. Are you abandoning me? I won't abandon you, she whispered softly. I'm picking myself. He got to his feet, his voice now trembling. You can't simply leave. You promised to defend us. With tears streaming down her face, she answered. I did. But I'm sick of fighting by myself. As Shekinah packed her suitcase, the scene faded away. Her last confession was candid and unvarnished. Perhaps this represents the breaking point. Perhaps love requires room to thrive. Serper will make an effort to accommodate me if he genuinely loves me. And perhaps that's my response if he doesn't. Serper was by himself in the flat at the end of the episode, gazing out at the city lights. The self-assured, domineering man appeared little, almost lost, for the first time. Perhaps she is correct, he said to himself. Perhaps I exerted too much pressure. As the screen went black, viewers were left to wonder if Serper and Shekinah's story was coming to an end, or if something more genuine was about to start. Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. My name is Amelia, and I hope you're having a great day. Remember to subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the video.